verses 5 through 42, and that's on page 94 in the New Testament. John 4, verses 5 through 42. If you don't mind.
That's a long one. I ain't gonna say I'm the best one on the track. That's a long. What is it, 5 through 42?
Yes.
Okay. So he came to a Samaritan city called Sychar, with a plot of ground that Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired out by his journey, was sitting by the well. It was about noon. A Samaritan woman came to draw water, and Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." His disciples had gone to the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask a drink of me, a woman of Samaria?" Jews do not share things in common with Samaritans. Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that is saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." The woman said to him, "Sir, you have no bucket, and the well is deep. Where do you get that living water? Are you greater than our ancestor Jacob, who gave us the well, and with his sons and his flock drank from it?" Jesus said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again, but those who drink of the water that I will give them will never be thirsty. The water that I will give will become in them a spring of water, gushing up to eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water, so that I may never be thirsty or have to keep coming here to draw water." Jesus said to her, "Go, call your husband and come back." The woman answered him, "I have no husband." Jesus said to her, "You are right in saying, 'I have no husband,' for you have had 5 husbands, and the one you have now is not your husband. What you have said is true." The woman said to him, "Sir, I see that you are a prophet. Our ancestors worshipped on this mountain, but you say that the place where people must worship is in Jerusalem." Jesus said to her, "Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you will worship the Father neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, for salvation is from the Jews. But the hour is coming, and is now here, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. For the Father seeks such as these to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth." The woman said to him, "I know that Messiah is coming, who is called Christ. When he comes, he will proclaim all things to us." Jesus said to her, "I am he, the one who is speaking to you." Just then his disciples came. They were astonished that he was speaking with a woman, but no one said, "What do you want?" or "Why are you speaking with her?" Then the woman left her water jar and went back to the city. She said to the people, "Come and see a man who told me everything I have ever done. He cannot be the Messiah, can he?" They left the city and were on their way to him. Meanwhile, the disciples were urging him, "Rabbi, eat something." But he said to them, I have food to eat that you do not know about. So the disciples said to one another, surely no one has brought him something to eat. Jesus said to them, my food is to do the will of him who sent me and to complete his work. Do you not say, 4 months more, then comes the harvest? But I tell you, look around you and see how the fields are ripe for harvesting. The reaper is already receiving wages and is gathering fruit for eternal life, so that sower and reaper may rejoice together. But here the saying holds true: one sows and another reaps. I sent you to reap that for which you did not labor. Others have labored, and you have entered into their labor. Many Samaritans from the city believed in him because of the woman's testimony. He told me everything I had ever done. So when the Samaritans came to him, they asked him to stay with them, and he stayed there 2 days. And many more believed because of his word. They said to the woman, it is no longer because of what you said that we believe, for we have heard for ourselves, and we know that this is truly the Savior of the world. The word of the Lord in Scripture, for the word of God among us, for the word of God within us. Thanks be to God.
Thank you, Donna. I'm sure we've all heard this story before. In fact, but it's one of my favorite stories. I have 3 or 4 that I just love. One of them was last Sunday's, which I didn't get to preach, which was no, I regret that. The thing I think we need to remind ourselves, though, is who is this Samaritan woman? It's mentioned in the early dialogue between Jesus and the Samaritan woman, the relationship between the Samaritans and the Jews. There's also this dynamic in which males and females were not supposed to approach one another or even talk to one another unless they were family. And so there's several things going on here in terms of the dialogue with the Samaritan woman that are not exactly proper when it comes to Jewish tradition and law. And when the disciples come back, they actually kind of call him out on that. But I think this Samaritan woman is somebody that we probably know, if we think about it. We know she had 5 husbands. The tradition was if your husband died, you married your husband's brother. And so the Bible tells us the 5th husband was not, she wasn't even actually married to him, which makes me wonder if they ran out of brothers. Or had she just given up on marriage as a lost cause? Those of us who have gone through the painful experiences of divorce know the temptation of giving up on marriage. Many of us, me included, said, well, I don't know that I want to be married ever again. But there's more to this than just having 5 husbands. This woman was ostracized by her community. We know this because she came to the well at noon. The village came to the well in the morning. So in order to avoid the stares and the glares and the gossip and all the things that put her down and made her feel bad about who she was, she avoided it by not going to the well at the same time as the community. She'd given up being a part of the community, much the same way she'd given up on marriage for some reason or other. This well was a deep well. The primary source of water in Israel is the Jordan River. The second source is reaching the aquifer of the water underground, which is very deep in that area. So all the wells have to be dug very, very deep to access the water. And this well was dug deep by the ancestor, Joseph. And then we get into this kind of weird back and forth between water and living water. And in all fairness to the Samaritan woman, we can't live without water. But maybe that's the point. Maybe our connection, one of our connections to the divine, is through the water we drink that gives us life, that restores life. One of the things that the health issues I've gone through has done is, as you can hear, my mouth and throat gets dry and I start to lose my voice. And that's been going on for a while now. And while on many times in my life, if I'm asked what I want to drink at a restaurant, it'll be a soda pop, or it'll be sweet tea, or it'll be coffee. And they may bring water just there, and I don't even bother drinking it. But there comes a time when the only thing that can satisfy your thirst is water. You need the water, pure water, which we know is getting harder and harder to find in our world.
Mm-hmm.
When God first gave life to this earth, his first companion was water. God hovered over the waters, the deep. And from that beginning, all of creation evolved and emerged through what our tradition says, 6 days of creative activity by God. So coming to the well for this Samaritan woman was to get water to sustain her life. I suspect because of her circumstances, she did not have a lot of expectations for her life. All the dreams and promises she had had as a younger woman hadn't worked out. Life had treated her with a banquet of disappointments. And like many of us, I suspect at first it was a fight. The first disappointment added the weight to fight to make the next hope real. But that too often leads to disappointment. So what I'm trying to say is this woman has given up on her hopes, her dreams, her ability to be part of the community, her ability to have a regular sanctioned marriage. She was an outcast in her own home. Have you recognized her around our neighborhood? Have you ever been the Samaritan woman? So Jesus talks about living water, as opposed to what she is filling with a bucket. He is talking about what will fill her empty soul, her empty heart up. He's talking about what will restore her hopes, her dreams, her sense of belonging to a community that is sanctified, that is justified, not because of anything she has done, but because of the love of God. Both the Samaritans and the Jews believed that a Messiah was coming. Both the Samaritans and the Jews had great debates and arguments about what this Messiah was going to do, what he was going to look like. The popular understanding was that he was going to be a warrior on a warrior's horse, like David, who would conquer the enemies of the state. And we will read when we get closer to Easter, during Holy Week and Palm Sunday. He wasn't a horse. He wasn't leading an army. He wasn't girded with sword or lance. So he's trying to use this sense of the water that everybody knew the body needed to survive as a way of talking about the sacred. That we can drink the water until it runs out, but we'll get thirsty again. It's momentary. Water in, water out. But it doesn't restore us, it sustains us. What true living water does is it restores us. It restores us in community. We're off in the future, somewhere outside of the life we live, for this living water, for this Messiah. Jesus is telling us it's not future tense, it's present tense. The Messiah is here now. I listened to a podcast yesterday. It was interviewing Diana Butler Bass, which we a year ago did her book Grounded, in which she has a section on water and how every religion sees water as a connection to the sacred, whether it be baptismal water, whether it be like for the Hindus, the river where they wash themselves, where they bury their dead, and everything about their lives is around that Ganges River. But the River Jordan is the same way. We even talk about it in terms of our own life. When we reach that time where our physical life is about to end, we talk about crossing the Jordan River. There's something sacred to all of us, all traditions of faith, people of spirit, about the water. But anyway, this podcast I was listening to, one of the young ladies told a story about how they had come to a church meeting or worship service. I don't remember exactly what the event was. But this young preacher was standing up and talking about how the world had gone to hell in a handbasket. How everything was wrong. We had the wrong president in the White House. We had the wrong person in charge of the environment. We had the wrong person in charge of our money. We had the wrong person in charge of our international diplomacy. We had the wrong person providing us with our electricity, our cable, our gas, our water. They don't serve us. It seems like we serve them. Well, while this young preacher was going through all the things that were wrong in the world, this older preacher sitting with this young girl turned to her and said, "I guess he's never eaten a peach." And when I heard that, I knew exactly what she meant. There's nothing so spiritual and sacred than picking a fresh, organic peach from a tree that has been ripened on the limb by the sun that God put in our skies, watered by the rain that God put in our skies, nurtured by all of the earth that God created, the very earth that was blown into making us. And taking a bite of that peach is like heaven. You might prefer some other fruit to peaches, and that's fine. But I think you know what I'm talking about. It's like when only water will help your thirst. There's something fundamental about God's creation that can cure us and heal us in ways that nothing else can. So why in the world do we prefer darkness? Why do we prefer Pepsi over water? Or Coca-Cola? Or Blue Moon beer? Why? Are we trying to fill this emptiness we feel, this lack of belonging to the community, to our family, to our jobs, to the society around us? Do we feel so excluded that we have to fill ourselves with all these things? Trying to fill the hole in our lives, in our health, in our spiritual well-being. I think if we're honest with ourselves, we say yes. We're afraid to be alone. And we're afraid to look in the Messiah's eyes as he offers living water. Why do we fear? I think it's because we've had so many things happen to us in life that doubt overcomes our faith. Self-preservation involves not taking any risks, and hope requires risk. Faith requires risk. Prayer requires risk. Because that means we have let go of what sustains our lives and replaced it with the Creator Himself. It doesn't mean we stop drinking water, or we stop eating peaches. But we do so recognizing the sacred created act present in that water, that peach, and in our lives. We quit looking for that time when Jesus is going to come back and solve all our problems. We'll no longer be in debt. We'll be able to pay our bills. Our house will be the best on the block. We'll have a brand new vehicle. We'll be in perfect health and live forever. No. He's already come. He suffered, executed. But God would not let that stop God's love. And so, after 3 days, Jesus was raised from the dead. And he didn't go off somewhere by himself. He appeared to his disciples, those who had followed him in his bodily life. He allowed them to stick their hands in the holes in his hands and this pierced side. He even had love for Thomas, who doubted. The living water is sacred water. It restores us. It restores us to God's love, which never left us. We left it. It restores us to a life of sacredness, where we see in one another and we see in the world we live that Jesus is still alive. That God is still speaking, even if it's through a peach or a glass of water. Alone in silent prayer, or in covenant community, debating on what hymn to use. One of the logos of, or one of the scriptures that's been a foundation of the United Church of Christ is the passage from John, that they all may be one. The water begins that journey. As Jesus was baptized by John in the Jordan River, each of us have been baptized in this community of faith. And every day, our life offers us the possibility of being in communion with the sacred. For those of us who from time to time have to walk the valley in the shadow of death, or the valley of depression, or the valley of whatever, doubt, this is good news. It's not magic. It's not like Jesus the Santa Claus. It's about Jesus who turned water into wine, who was baptized in the Jordan, whose suffering we share in this body, and in whose resurrection we share in this time and place now. As hard as it may be, I pray that we can live as if it's true. Because by faith and by the Holy Spirit, I tell you, it is true. Amen.